Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone that might be passing by on YouTube. We had mentioned the other day that we would try to post up when we do post up at about noon each day. So we'll try to do that for 30 or 40 minutes and give you a view of what we're doing. We are trading a robot SMC C point. We picked it back up again. We ran it. Um, well, you saw it earlier. We've been running it since midnight, and she's running with a profit factor of about 1.4, 1.5 at last check. And she is off of her high watermark of almost 3,000, and she's at 2,760. So we're going to try to stay with it. If she pulls back, much more than half of the account, she got right down in there. We decided to kick it back on, and she's recovered, and we're going to try to stay with it. We won't be able to stay on YouTube for the entire afternoon. I have a person that I need to connect with in Q School at 2. But so we'll probably go until a little bit before 1. If you have any questions, you're welcome to visit the site. You are welcome to post them in the chat room, and you're also welcome to call. And we're mechanical robotic traders. We know it was Fed Day. We had some fun with it this morning. All pontificating and the wizards of smart and all of that. Lots of noise out there. There always is when the market is selling off or making new highs. For us, it's really just another day. We just don't listen to it. Our trading is pretty quiet, and it's just very mechanical, and hopefully even more robotic than mechanical. That particular trade that went in up there, that is a NASDAQ futures contract. The margin that it's using at this hour is $1,900. $1,900. Now, that is the intraday margin, the intraday buying power of a futures contract for this particular brokerage between the hours of 9 and 4, approximately, right? And that can vary. If you were to use a futures contract outside those hours, the original margin that would be required, and this would be minimum, would be about 18, 19,000. So it's a little bit more. Well, it's a lot more, actually. During the hours of 9 and 10, it's only 1,900. But you don't have to use, if that takes your breath away, you can learn and I suggest that one does learn before putting that type of capital, in any market or anything for that matter. And you can use, fortunately, what they call a micro contract. What is a micro contract? A micro contract is 1/10 of that size, 1/10. So you could be trading a micro contract. If you take it overnight, you have to have approximately $1,900. If you're trading it during the day, you can have, don't hold me to it, but it's probably, somewhere around 1,200, 1,300 or so, thereabouts. They don't give you quite as much leverage intraday on the micros, but that's just because it's probably not even necessary. You do have to have some time to trade. You have to have some risk capital, and you need to have, we believe, an education or a discipline or an approach. We do these YouTube sessions. We're not handing out the fish. Happy to discuss anything with you, by the way. I'm happy to put in any stocks or markets into Swing Machine. And but we do these sessions just to give you a glimpse of who we are, what we're about, and give you a chance to ask some questions. And that is the idea. This particular trading robot, I've been trading since midnight now, up 2,532. We're pretty happy with that. 20 to 25 trading days in a month. And you can do the math from there. If you're able to extract $100 a day at 20 days a month, you'll get an extra 2,000, 4,000. It's all commensurate. I'm not trying to minimize or to try to say that it's just that simple. but we do try to break everything down into bite sizes and just it can be, right? We try to keep it simple. Leverage is a beautiful thing, but you just don't want to abuse it. And you can have $250,000 in your account and be over leveraged, right? Or undercapitalized. You can over leverage it. And so we want to use leverage responsibly. Just because there may be firms out there that will give you the rope to hang yourself. You may not want to use all the rope, right? Just want to go small. But happy to answer any question. We one of the big stocks this week was Nvidia. Let's take a look at Nvidia for a moment. I want to show you something. NVDA. And yeah, this is crazy. All right, so let me put this on here as an example, because you can trade stocks, right? Nvidia was trading at $470 a share on the afternoon before earnings, 470. Now, one of the things that you might have wanted to know is if they beat or miss earnings, how much might that stock move, right? How much might it move? So we have a radar, much like Swing Machine. There's another order in there. I didn't put that in, the machine did. We have another radar called SMC expected move. And if you doubt this, please go to our Twitter stream and you'll see the tweet, among other tweets. I'm sorry, I use Twitter just as a distraction, but there's a tweet there on that afternoon, and I said that the expected move of Nvidia was 22 points. Could be up, it could be down. Don't know. But that was what the options market was pricing in, a 22-point move. Now I like Nvidia, right? I think the great company and yada yada. But on a daily basis, when it was trading at 470, it was trading almost in euphoria. Almost in euphoria. When the earnings came out, and we said this before, but I'll describe to you what we put out in our tweet so you can see its timestamp. But I want you to know, more importantly, where it came from, right? It wasn't a hunch. It wasn't my gut, okay? We were using our tools. But it was trading very close to euphoria. And then when the earnings come out, it went to $500 a share, and it most certainly was in euphoria. Well, when you have a stock or a market that is trading in euphoria, the likelihood that it is going to move back toward its mean, which was approximately $450, is now $448. The likelihood that it was going to trade down in there over the next 20 to 25 days, thereabouts, is 95%. 95%. Now, there was a possibility that it went to 500 and kept going to 600, and there's a 5% chance it's going to do a game stunk and go that much further. Entirely possible. But the probability was that it wasn't. So what we were suggesting or teaching, I wasn't saying anybody should do anything. We don't necessarily give out the fish, but the way that one could have played that both before earnings, safer to do it after earnings, but before earnings is where it's in euphoria. I want to play it for the move back, purely without any regard to earnings. So what one could have done was to have sold, and what we tweeted out was, when it was trading at 470, is to sell a 500, go 22 points up, which would take you from 472 to 492. You know, and if thing gets to 492, it's probably going to get to 500. So let's sell a call. Let's sell a call at 500, which means that you're short at 500. However, a naked call is a lot of risk, because if it goes to 600 or 1,000, you know, you're going to be on the hook. And it's also a marginable event, right, for your account. But they would have paid you a premium for selling that call. You could take a portion of that premium and do what? Go and another 15 points, or use your option chain and go down on, use the delta. I won't get into that here, but you go down, even though the price is going up, you're going down on the risk curve, and do what? Take a portion of the premium you get for selling the call at 500, take some of that and buy yourself a call at 415. When you put those two options together, it becomes what? It becomes a vertical call credit spread. And we said to do that, or one should, not should, but one could do that out about 35 to 45 days. And by doing that, you define your risk. We could only risk, and I'm not going to get lost in the numbers, but you would be defining your risk. You'd only lose so much, and you could actually define your profit. You could only make so much. Now, we tweeted that out at 470, and we were short, and they beat earnings. And somebody may have been following on the Twitter first. Oh boy, what the heck? He got his ass kicked on that one. Yeah, maybe I could have, The next day, NVIDIA opens at 500, and it traded at, 485, 490. I mean, they were selling into it, and we repeated the trade, because you could still have done it, probably a little bit less risk, a little bit less expensive, the following day, because the volatility gets sucked out. But isn't it interesting where we are right now? We're literally from 470. What I think is even more important is that the expected move, when we were at 470 before earnings, we said the likelihood is that we are likely to be trading at 450, because I took 22 points off. I said more likely that we will be trading at 450 than 500 over the next 20 days, because it was also up in euphoria. Now, I did not know they were going to, it certainly didn't look like they were going to do it the other day, but look where we are. I didn't listen to the earnings call. I kind of know what NVIDIA does, but I didn't make any fundamental anything. I didn't look at a chart. I simply looked at the expected move of our radar, which isn't shown here. And then I looked at where it was here, and that is the type of trade that we have. Another radar, by the way, we have another radar that that also is telling us that it was it was what we call the club selector for options. And it also is telling us that we should be selling a call credit spread on NVIDIA, because the criteria that I just described to you can be hard coded into a math formula. And that's what it is. It isn't magic. It's probabilities, and we can hard code it. That hard, that simple. I think that, if you're trading, if you're struggling with the emotions of it, it most of the time, probably the time, that one is probably trading more money than they should be, right? Putting more money at risk than they should be. But also, too, they might be trying to do something without having an education. I'm not saying that you have to come to us. I'm not. In fact, I mean, I really want to talk to the person before you decide to come to the Q school, because I'm going to spend a lot of time with you. You're going to spend a lot of time with me, and we want to make sure that I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste mine. So, um, but there is a skill set to this. And we talk about being diversified, not in the Kramer sense, when he talks about, am I diversified, Jimmy? I got an oil company and I got this. No, we talk about being diversified and being able to use the various tools, um, from options to futures to buying and selling of stock itself. But I'm happy to plug in any 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 stock you might want to do. I kind of found it amusing too. Dan Nathan, he's one of the stock pimps on CNBC, and they drag him out there, him and Guy Adami. Um, of course, they brought in Cameron Dawson, who's beautiful and will attract eyeballs, because who wants to look at those two monkeys? I certainly don't. And they are just awful. I'm sorry, as far as stock picking. He's been shorting Nvidia the whole way up, the whole way up. Um, I'm not saying, that Nvidia is a long-term short, because you could be looking at it was just that um call credit spread was a trade, is a trade. But NVIDIA, Swing Machine went long NVIDIA 156 days ago. That's what that means, 156 days ago. It isn't up. It isn't up 288. It's up 288 points. This is being calculated for options right now. So this is just calculating the per share, and there's no leverage there. But Swing Machine went long NVIDIA at $165.11 at 4 p.m. back on January 12th, right? It just that, that's where it bought it. And, the likelihood is that when that was there, it was probably in panic, which is exactly when you want to buy it. You want to be playing at the extremes, but you don't want to be buying it when everyone else is buying it out here in euphoria. Does that make sense? For those of you that trade options, if you don't trade options, that may sound all very, well, I don't know what it may sound like, but it isn't that complicated. We will take our time with you if that's what you want to do when you go through the Q school. It'll take us a couple of days, and we will tape these sessions so that you can refer back to it. But we will break it down, piecemeal. If you do in fact want to trade options, and I understand. I think when you're trading options, I think you should be working off of the daily closes and not trying to pay attention to the intraday traffic. If you want to trade intraday, I would trade futures. But any case, we can leave NVIDIA there. It's kind of interesting. But in the meantime, our little program has been running since midnight. I can tell you how many trades it's had. I can tell you the profit factor, and it's performing beautifully. It's performing a little bit better than the model, at least for right here, right now, today. We're probably going to run this all of next week. We'll try to patch in about noon each day and give you a chance to ask some questions. We'll probably do that. The next week's the last day of summer. We consider it. We'll probably do it every day. And then as we move into the fall, things will get really busy. We might just do it, 3 times a week. The live sessions that we've been doing at night and all over the place, we're going to probably have to slow that way down, because we're just going to be really, really busy in the fall. It's a great, we're coming into the sweet spot of trading, and so we just need those resources. So won't be ignoring you at all, but we appreciate you all coming by. You got any questions on what it is you're seeing? Swing machine isn't the only tool. It's one of about 70, and it's central to a lot of what we do. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. The NQ on Swing Machine, it lasts, and we're not trading Swing Machine right here, right now, right? This is a different robot that's running this and putting that up. But Swing Machine, if you had been trading it, the last on the NQ would have been short $100. We will, really try to work with you as hard as we can to make you aware of the things that the first step of learning anything is becoming aware of things, right? There's plenty of things that I don't know. I had a member earlier today making me aware of some things that I didn't know. It's great. It's great. I mean, this whole endeavor is just so dynamic, so good. I mean, I love to learn new things and do new things. And to think that we've been here for years and years and there's still something that I hadn't seen or heard. Um, but we will do our best to make you aware of the things that we have learned over the years, and hopefully in an effort to save you some time, save you some lost capital, save you some angst. Maybe there are things that you've experienced, maybe they aren't. And hopefully also during the Q school, you'll share with us your expense your not your expenses, but your experiences, and we will learn as well. But it is the first step of learning anything is just becoming aware, and then you set about to try to change and modify one's behavior or whatever it is to achieve something new. Market's gotten pretty choppy in here, but we're still letting it run. Now I could, for the purposes of those that are passing through on YouTube, and you see the money up there. I'm trying not to react to the money, but I could, right? I could go up and capture that $400 or 500. Um, but I'm not going to do that. Just going to let the machine handle it. But you could. Now we could disengage the robot, lock in a break even stop, and let this bugger run. This thing might run 2,000, 3,000. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it on the downside. I'm not going to do it on the upside. I'm just going to let it run itself out. But we could. Just want you to know. Not suggesting anybody take these trades. If you have any specific questions about who we are, what we're about, feel free, or you want me to plug anything in on the trading platform, let us know. And or on Swing Machine, happy to do it. We use TradeStation. We're not affiliated with TradeStation, other than being a very happy customer. We could not do what we do from a trading standpoint, without them. They're go big or go home, I guess. Well, we're staying with the discipline. We don't have to, but I appreciate it. Thank you, user 404. I don't always recognize names too, by the way. So if I've spoken with folks previously, or maybe you're a member, I don't always know the names. So just know that. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate. But we're gonna let it run itself out. It's got this thing is bracketed with some curbs to it, and we've tried to put all the probabilities of on our side here as much as we could, and still let this thing breathe, and that's what we're doing. There's only certain things that we can control. We can't control the market. Can't. It does, it's crazy, right? Up one day, down the next, up one afternoon, down the next, down and up and down. We can't control that. The only thing that we can control is when do we trade, what we trade, how much leverage, if any, do we use. You can use too little and you can use too much, in our view. How do you make your decisions? How do you manage your time? All these things have to be considered and planned in advance. Most, there's that old saying, that 90%, and I don't know if it's true or not, that 90% of people who attempt to try to trade lose. Maybe it's true. And I think if it is true, it's simply because they just think that it's easy and they can just, open up a brokerage account and just buy and sell and buy. How hard can that be? And they learn that there's a little bit more to it than that. And I, as an example, I went to Lowe's that one time and said to Susie, I had some cornices to build or repair in the corner of my home, and I had a little what do you call it, weather stripping there up on the eave, needed to be replaced, one of them. And that'd be easy, Susan. I'll just go to Lowe's and buy a skill saw and get some wood and cut it up. And wasn't that easy? I thought I can make a miter cut, and but not only was it a miter cut of 45-degree angles, but it was also at a slant. It was also at an angle. And Jesus, I had a pile of wood, and I tell the story, and it's true. I had a neighbor come over and said, Don, what in the Christ are you doing over here? Are you cutting up firewood? What are you trying to do? And so I explained to him. He said, give it, Don, give it to me. He took a couple pieces of the wood and made the cuts, and that was that. He's a master carpenter. He's done it a few times. I'm like, thank you. You need to practice whatever it is you're doing, and trading is no different. It's the same. And you either get the practice or get the instruction up front, or you're going to be left with a bunch of kindling. And I don't think you want that, but we cannot promise an outcome. We cannot, and we don't. I'm not going to make the trades for you. I'm not going to give you the specific trades to buy and sell anything. I'm not, and I'm not going to make any claims. Not going to do that. Now, we've had people hear that message and they send me some emails and, well, now what the hell are you doing these YouTubes for? You're not going to give me the trades. You're not going to, promise me an outcome. Now, what the hell do I want to follow you for? Well, that's exactly the reaction I want to get from that particular person, because I don't want to waste my time with them, and I wish them the best. We're here as a mentoring site for those folks that want to learn, operative word, learn how to trade their own capital. So they need to be comfortable with uncertainty, and they need to be comfortable with learning. They need to take responsibility for their own decisions and, and using the tools. We will do our level best up front to explain what we're doing, how we're doing it, and then for the annual members, we make those tools available. And that's who we are. That's what we're about. And if that resonates with you, be sure to visit the site, give it some thought, think it through, and have questions. You can email us, and you can also call. We have an unlimited number of monthly memberships. They will be the nightly videos. Embedded in the nightly videos are trading opportunities. We give you an instructional video on how to get the most out of that nightly video. We have an unlimited number of monthly memberships. Annual memberships, licenses a year, they get much more. They get all the programs. They get a whole lot more. The person needs to go through a Q school, and then they get to decide if they still want to become an annual member. So they get a really good insight. And those annual memberships, though, are limited. We only issue a limited number of licenses every year. When we hit that number, we will stop, and we'll let everybody know. And then, that we won't open it back up for annuals until January. So don't assume that, come whatever, that the door will be open, because we will close it. Last year, it closed on November 1. If you do go into Q school, you will be assured a spot, though. If you go through the Q school and you want to avail yourself of the annual, it will hold a spot. But okay, and she just took another winner there. I did not take that trade; the machine took it. So that is a new high watermark for us, 3,068. Let me give you some of the trading stats on the trades from last night, or today. And I can go to TradeStation. I can generate a trade manager analysis. So this is accurate. And let me do this. And the profit factor for today is 1.47. Now, the program tells us that we should be doing 1.32. So we're doing better. That means we're making $1.47 for every dollar we put at risk. We've had 55 trades. 55 trades, and we're running a percent profitable at 43%. And the math that we've run tells us that we need to stay above 30 some odd percent winning. 30. That means we could lose 7 out of 10 times. When you stop and reverse it, right? Percent profitable, 43%. That means not quite 6, but 5.5 out of 10 trades we lose. What kind of crap is that? 5.5 times? I'm going to put on 10 trades, and I'm going to lose 5.5 times. Oh, I ain't going to subscribe to that. I don't want to do that. Nope. That's why you don't have that. You're putting a value. People sometimes, they don't know what they don't know. They're putting a value on what feels good, on what they think trading is about, what they think is important, what they want to do, except that that just doesn't work. And just like the carnival barker, Wall Street and Madison Avenue have come together, and they know that about you in general. Not talking about anybody specifically, but they know that in general, that's how people react, and they appeal to that in the masses, and they get people to send them their money. It's all about collecting your money so that they get to trade the leverage and collect the benefits of that over and over again. Then they go buy the big house, the big car, the big, second home, third home. Mhm. What else can I tell you about the performance? The average time in the trade of these 55 trades, the average time that we're in the market on each trade is 6 minutes. It's not too long. Average time between trades is 17 minutes. Do you have that kind of detail on your trading? Do you? If you don't, how do you know what to work on? How do you know what's working, what isn't working? Are you just going from feel? Ever play golf with that guy? I was really hitting the ball well last week. Boy, I was nailing it. I was really, really hitting it. I was at the range last night and I was really, really tagging it. I don't know what's happened now. I'm just not hitting that damn ball very well. Then you ask him, like, well, what were you doing? I don't really know what I was doing. But boy, I was hitting it. Okay. you know, I mean, that's fine for weekend golf, right? But that's not fine for doing this. No, no. Now, if you want to go out and buy Verizon stock, and I'm not gonna use any leverage. I'm not gonna use any margin. I'm an investor. I'm 25 years old and I'm an investor and I'm going to buy Verizon stock because it pays a 2 to 3% dividend. Oh, okay. Like, it's trading where it was like 20, 30 years ago. Let me know how that works out. Um, you have to make a decision. You have to decide. And if that decision involves us, call anytime. We'll be here. Any questions, let us know. If you were trading swing machine on the 1 minute, 38 minutes ago, you could have gone along in the direction of well, actually it would have been a little bit before the 5, but that's paying 500. That's what that means. 22 minutes ago would have been 600, 41 minutes, 295, 43 minutes, 470. Now, if you wanted to sit here and intervene and engage with the program, you could, right? I mean, you could go up. You want to grab that 70, $80, $100. I mean, you can do that, right? I'm choosing not to, but you could sit. It'd be pretty, it's pretty boring. My office is pretty quiet. I don't have a TV. It's just me and Ted. Susan has her own office. She's doing her own thing. I don't interfere in her trading at all. And nor does she mine. And I don't, we're not running a trading room. I'm not barking out buy, sell, buy, or anything of the sort. Just we're available for folks from a technical support standpoint. If there's something that we're provided that isn't populating on their screen or something like that, we're available. But all of our members work very, very hard to refine their own game, and they work very, very hard at it. Can you use Swing Machine from an investment standpoint if you have a longer time horizon and you want to? Absolutely, you can. If you want to consider, the fundamental analysis for something that's going to be, a 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-year investment, I get that. I understand what that is and what that's about. And you can most certainly use our tools to help you, make that, make a decision. You just don't want to, make an investment and then start watching the price action, intraday or even from one day to the next. Make the investment and measure it out, map it out, and let it play out on the time horizon that you've chosen. So it's approaching 1 o'clock, and we will have to sign off on YouTube. We want to say thank you for stopping by. We wish you the best over the weekend. And I'll be in the office, quite a bit on Saturday morning and probably even Sunday afternoon. We're constantly working. This is what we do. And I'm doing exactly what I want to do, though, right? So some say that isn't work. And I'll be honest, it doesn't feel like work. I am doing what I want to do. And it's a big part of this. If you have a passion for doing it, I do think that, it doesn't have to be this, right? It can be whatever. It can be whatever. That gentleman, what is his name? Oliver, the rich man from Richmond. He's pursuing exactly what he wanted to do. And so if we can help you achieve, your goals and aspirations, we have members that have blown me away. They've traded, much better, done, and that's okay. It's totally okay. Doesn't take food off my table. It doesn't hurt me. So, entirely possible that you could become a member and use the tools in a different way, in a different format, and mix and match, maybe come up with some of your own and never look back, and maybe blow away your own aspirations. But if you want to talk personally, we'll shoot straight with you. If we think that if we think a person's expectations are not real, they're not grounded, we won't go forward with a Q school. We won't. Because I don't want to waste your time or mine if that's the case. And it is what it is, though, right? It may be someone else could, maybe, but so we're happy to chat with you. So it's about 12:50. I'm going to shut up and let you watch. And then at the top of the hour, YouTube will abruptly have to come to a close. For our members that are patched in and watching, a lot of times our members, they have everything on their screen and they could be running other things. And hopefully they've turned down the volume. They don't need to hear me day in and day out. But we, on YouTube, that we know there are people seeing this for their first time. We've been here, we've been doing it a long time. But we don't really advertise to speak of, so it's a bit of a small miracle if you ever found us. I mean, with all the stuff that's out there, I don't see. We do shadow a little bit, and pay attention what's on the Twitter sphere. I don't see anyone doing what we're doing, though. I don't. I see a lot of people doing what they're all doing, the same. But and I'm familiar with that, right? I'm familiar with what that all is, and I'm happy to speak with you and why some of it might work, but most of it won't. Like there is a person in particular on the Twitter sphere, and he charges for this, charges for that, charges for this, charges for that. It's got all these different fees, and he's always talking about promoting. That he's got a win-loss ratio of like 90%. Folks, that might be the case. There are some things that you can do to get a 90% win-loss ratio, but that doesn't mean that you're going to make money. There's something called, eating like a bird and shitting like an elephant. So you can set up programs to eat like a bird to give yourself a high win-loss ratio, right? He can have his people, giving out recommendations, and shaving, 5 and 10 cents here, 5 and 10 cents here, just so that he's got a bragging right about a win-loss ratio. But never letting you know that when they get it wrong big, really badly, big. And in particular, the person I'm thinking of, they get them wrong really, really big. And he's super arrogant. I'm very humble about this, folks. I am the most ignorant person in this market. I'll arm wrestle you for that right. I want to be able to move left. I want to be able to move right. I'm not going to give you a vested market call. You will look at the algos every night on the nightly video as a monthly member. You'll see what I see. We'll offer you an interpretation so that you can learn, but you can reach your own conclusions. If you have these tools on your desktop, you'll see the same thing that I'm seeing. You reach your own conclusions. The machine is presenting opportunities to you. We're just going to try to help to make sure that you see what they see, and that we answer your questions, particularly during the Q school, of how you use that information. Does no good to have the information and then just go buy a call or go buy a put, right? There are certain you may have the direction right, but you may not, you may be overpaying for that. Like anybody who bought a call option on NVIDIA before earnings, chances are, they lost all their money, 100% of their money, unless they closed it, that first thing. And the thing of it is, even if they bought a call option at 470, they would have paid dearly for that call option. They would have had to close that call option very, very fast on that next morning. Chances are they probably, if they did that, they probably even broke even, because what happens is the call option would have been very, very expensive when before earnings, because the implied volatility would have been very high. So the cost of the option would have been very high. As soon as the earnings come out, the implied volatility gets sucked out of the option and the option goes down in value. Then now you couple the option has gone down in value, and all the fast money people who were trying to play that game, they all dump. And now you get something like this. When it comes to options, I can't tell you how many people, I'll ask, how long you've been trading options? 5 years, 10 years. It's scary to think, because then I'll ask, well, do you know how options are priced? Yeah. How are they priced? Well, kind of like this, kind of. They really don't understand how options are priced. There's a math formula. The people who wrote the math formula got the Nobel Prize. It's public. You need to, you don't necessarily need to know, but we know what it is. Susan knows what it is. Susan's helped us to write programs based on that formula to give us the information that we need. And it speaks to us in English. And during the Q school, we will explain that to you. I'm not going to do it here. Not going to do that. And we got yet another little trade here. That'll be the last one. I wish you the best. Have a great weekend. We'll be here for members, and everybody else have a great weekend. We'll leave YouTube up until about 1 o'clock.